everybody, welcome to my channel. My name's Mel. Thank you so much for joining me today for December's TBR campaign. So TBR Campaign is my new TBR game that I started in November, and that's what we're going to play today. I did do a video where I explained what all the rules are, what all the different places are, what happens when I land on those different places, how to play the game, punishments, rewards, all of those things. So I will link it in the description below if you want to go and find out what all is going on. Very briefly though, this is a game that is based on D&D. The idea is that I travel along this path up the mountain, and for each place that I land on I have a bunch of different prompts and different icons, and they all mean different things, so I have to do whatever the different thing is in order to choose the book. I start at start and I finish at end, and however long it takes me to do that, that is how many books I have to read. So I basically go from the beginning to the end, and yeah, however many stops along the way, that is how many books I have to read. So the first thing that I need to do is talk you through last month and how I went, and then figure out whether or not I will get a punishment or a reward. So let's do that now. First of all, I landed on a half-elf, and because I landed on a half-elf, I had to read a middle grade or a young adult, and I decided that I was going to read Frostheart: Rise of the World Eater, which is the third Frostheart by Jamie Littler. It is the 23rd of November today, so I do have a week to go. However, I do still have 2 more books that I need to read before the end of the month, and I am still partway through 2 books. So I honestly don't know whether I'm going to get to this one. So yeah, I don't think that this is going to be able to count, which unfortunately will mean that I need to take a punishment, which we'll get to at the end of me recapping last month. Not doing too well to start off with. And then for roll number 2, I landed on the little travel square, and for that I needed to choose a travel card, and the one that I picked out was TBR Vet, and for this I chose Island of the Mad by Lore and Lullabies. This is the 5th book in the Mary Russell series, and I did read this one. Then I landed on the dice icon, and what that means is that I have to roll a 10-sided dice, and then whatever number I land on correlates to a class, and the class has specific prompts. So I landed on a cleric, I'm pretty sure, and that meant that I had to read a book that had religion or mythology, and the one that I chose was Daughter of the Moon Goddess, and as you can see I am partway through. I'm actually fairly close to the end. I think I have like 120 pages left to go or something like that, so I should hopefully be able to finish that in the next couple of days. Then I landed again on a half-elf, and for this one I chose The Disappearance of Ember Crow by Amberlynn Quay-Molina. This is the 2nd book in the Tribe trilogy, and I did read this one, which I'm very happy about because I put this on so many TBRs and not read it, so I'm really glad that I did read it finally. But because I landed on a half-elf, that meant that I had to go back 2 places, which landed me on a human, and for that I had to read a contemporary or romance, and I picked Sugar by Carly Nugent. This is the Last to Read book club book for November. I haven't got to it yet, but it's definitely one of the ones that I'm going to pick up in the next week or so, so I definitely will read it. And then I actually got to the end. The next roll got me to the end, and I have to choose a book, but I can choose whichever book I want. I do have to pick it then and there, and so I chose Winterkeep by Kristen Kershaw. This is the 4th book in the Graceling series by Kristen Kershaw. This is a read-along that I am doing with Bethany from Beautifully Bookish Bethany and Cara from Wild Book Garden, and yeah, I need to read this one. I haven't started it yet, however, again, this is one of the ones that I'm intending to pick up before the end of the month. I did also say at the end of that video that I needed to read Station 11 by Emily St. John Mandel, because I was buddy reading this with Sierra from Sierra the Book Addict, and we did read this one, so it doesn't actually count unfortunately, but I have read it. And then a book that I totally forgot about when I was doing the TBR was The Good People by Hannah Kent. This is for my In Real Life book club. Yeah, I am reading it now, so I'm again probably the same place along as the Daughter of the Moon Goddess, and yeah, that's the one I've chosen to read. A probably should have not chosen to read it, but I did. But it does mean that it's taking time where I could have read Frostart. But anyway, I definitely will be able to pick up at least another 2 books, but I don't know that I'll get to the 3rd. Unfortunately, that does mean that I have to take a punishment. So let's do that now. So I have a bunch of different punishments in the punishment wheel on my phone. So I will screen record and pop it up somewhere here so that you'll see what I end up getting as my punishment, and then we'll see what that ends up meaning for the game for December. So screen record, and it should be on the screen now, and yeah, let's spin. Go back 5 spaces. Awesome. Okay, so I'm going to do that at the end because obviously I start at the start and I can't go back at all at the start. So I'll do the game and then I'll have to go back 5 spaces, which means that, yeah, anything could happen. I am now going to tell you about the 2 readathons that I'm going to be participating in December. The first one is my readathon, and that is the Hemisphere Christmas Games readathon. I will link my announcement video with all the information that you need in order to participate if you wish to do so. But essentially, this is a readathon that pits the Northern Hemisphere against the Southern Hemisphere. This year, it's super easy to get points. You just get points for the amount of pages that you read. Every 10 pages you get 1 point. You don't have to read a Christmas book if you don't want to, but you do get extra points for reading Christmas books and even more bonus points for reading books set in the opposite hemisphere to where you live. So I do want to try and do that. I do want to try and fit some Christmassy books in for that readathon, but it's going to be a matter of how am I going with the TBR, what am I in the mood for, etc, etc. So I'm just going to see where I'm going with that. I will put up a TBR specifically for that readathon and probably realistically just tell you some of the books that I'm hoping to read. Yeah, that's the plan for that. And then the other one is the Romcomathon. So this is a weekend-long readathon. It's a little bit of a twist in that I think you start at midnight in Western European time zone, and then you can continue until I think it's Central Time, midnight Central Time in America, which actually gives me an extra day basically. So you work it out for, yeah, it's their time zones, and I think that means I get an extra day. So for Romcomathon you can double up, triple up, whatever, and there is a group book which I've actually completely forgotten what it is, but I honestly don't think I'm going to get to it. It wasn't a particularly appealing to me, but we'll see how we go. Then there is light on the cover, snow on the cover, and a book with holiday vibes. So those are the prompts for that, so we'll see how we get on there. But essentially it's reading romance. So yeah, I do have a few books in mind that I might try and get to over that weekend as well. So we'll just see how we get on. Alright, so I'm going to go now and set up the board and do roll number 1. Okay, we're going to play using this little figurine. This is my D&D character, Amelie, and yeah, she's going to do the play for us today. Roll number 1. 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have a travelling card. Okay, so as you just saw for roll number 1, I landed on a travel card, and that means that I need to pick one of these travel cards and do whatever it says on the prompt. So I'm going to give it a little shuffle, and then I'm going to pick something. Steal from someone else's TBR. Okay, give me a second and we'll see what we can find. I actually watched Meredith from Reading with Merb's December TBR this morning, so she's got a lot of romance in there, so let's see if I can find something that will work.
Hello everyone, welcome back. It's Meredith, and today we're going to be playing Love Light Farms. I'm actually just going to, and it is Love Light Farms is a romantic comedy featuring a handsome, freckled data analyst, a messy, optimistic Christmas tree farm owner, and a small town with the best hazelnut lattes on the East Coast.
It has the word light on the cover. It could be a possibility. That's cute. Nick and Nora's Christmas playlist. That is cute. That these are all decent sounding options, to be honest.
Christmassy romance.
That's definitely got
Her books just
snow on the
always get me in
cover.
the Christmas spirit, Christmas mood.
So this is Christmas by Jenny Holiday.
A festive romantic comedy about a woman who fakes an engagement with her landlord only to fall for her sister.
Okay. Kiss Her Once for me is fake dating, which we all know is not my fave, so we won't do that, even though it's got snow on the cover. Alright, the next one I also thought, no, that I like the sound of either.
That's perfect. That
Love Light Farms or Nick and Noel's Christmas Playlist. So I know that that one is definitely on Scribd. I actually think I like the sound of the Holiday Christmas Farms, Christmas Tree Farm one. So that is Love Light Farms by B.K. Borison. So I will put that up here so you can see what on earth I'm talking about. But yeah, I think that's the one I'm going to steal. So that's exciting. Thanks, Meredith. That works out well for Romcomathon as well, and it definitely had snow on the cover from the looks of it, and lights, I think, as well. So yeah, that's that one. All right, so let's now go and see what roll number 2 will bring us. Is 18. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Oh dear. Straight off the back, I have to go back 2 spaces. So, because if I get the same card twice, I have to go back 2 spaces. So, I have to do another travelling card and then go back the 2 spaces. 1, 2. Oh no! You know what? I think we're going to say, new rule, we're going to say that, yeah, it resets. Otherwise, I'll be in trouble. Okay, so as you just saw, I landed on another travel card, which is my second travel card, and according to the rules, I have to go back 2 places when I land on the same card, the same space, and then I landed on travel again. Now, I did just decide, because otherwise it could go on forever, that I only had to, it reset once you did it. So if you landed on the same again immediately, then it wouldn't count, if that makes sense. So I do have 2 travel cards I have to pick, and I have to do both. So the first travel card, I will give it a very, very quick shuffle again, because I did just shuffle it, and we'll go with this one here. A library book or a borrowed book? Okay. I do have a few books that I have borrowed. Give me a second. Okay, so I've decided to go with Beach Read by Emily Henry because I borrowed this off my friend Michelle. I am doing a reading popular romance reading vlog. Now I know that's 2 romances and I don't read a lot of romance, but I kind of want to be easy on myself this month, and I definitely will be able to fly through this one. It's not super long, 357 pages, which is a romance contemporary, so I should be able to get it through it fairly quickly. I don't know a huge amount about this. Peanut, can you not eat the... Peanut, that's not a toy for Peanuts. She's eating the figurine. Okay, what was I saying? Yeah, so I'm doing a romance vlog, so that's one of the books I want to read. I don't know a huge amount about it. I know that it features 2 authors, one who writes romance and one who writes literary fiction, and they both are on a holiday, like, not holiday, but like working holiday kind of thing, and they're not having much luck. They're both kind of suffering from writer's block, so they decide to swap genres, but that's about as that's literally all I know. So I'm intrigued about this one. I'm excited to read it. I've heard good things, and yeah, that is the borrowed book. And then I have to choose another travel card. I won't bother shuffling it again because... And it is Set Somewhere You've Never Been. Okay. I will be back. Okay, so for Set Somewhere I've Never Been, I've decided to go with Dragonhaven by Robin Hobb. This is book 2 in the Rainwild Chronicles, which is the... I have to do this every time. 4th series within the realm of the Elderling series, and it's quartet. This is a mass market paperback, I think, so it's got pretty small writing. So even though it's only 569 pages long. I think it's going to be fairly dense and take a while to get through. I nearly put this on as borrowed because this is borrowed from my friend AJ, but then I thought I should be nice to myself, and then I decided I was going to do it anyway because frankly with that much romance, and I've already got another couple of romances I kind of want to read, I do need some fantasy because yeah, romance isn't my preferred genre, and even though it's easy to read, I enjoy it, but fantasy is my main genre, so I need a fantasy in there. So yeah, we're going with Dragonhaven. I'm not going to talk about what this is about because it's so far into the series, so yeah, but this is the next book. Okay, roll number three. Oops, is number 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and we have landed on an orc. Okay, so for roll number 3, as you just saw, I landed on an orc, and if I land on an orc, then I have to read a dark academia book, a gothic book, a thriller, mystery, or horror book. So I decided that I would go with As Good as Dead by Holly Jackson. This is the third and final book in the Good Girl's Guide to Murder series. I've heard quite mixed things about this one. I've heard some people say it was fantastic and other people say that it was a real letdown. So I'm a little bit nervous, but I'm really keen to read it anyway and just see what I think of it. So I'm not hugely sure what's going on in this one either. It's talking about Pip has a stalker. There's a connection between her stalker and a local serial killer, but the police refuse to act, and Pip has to figure out what's going on. So yeah, that's what I'm going to read. I really enjoyed the first 2 books in the series. It is young adult, the thriller mystery, and yeah, I'm really hoping I enjoyed this one as well. Let's now go to the next roll and see what happens. Roll number 4. 20! Awesome! Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. But we're not really at the end because I have to go back 5 spaces, unfortunately. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But I rolled a 20, so that means I get to roll a reward. Let's go to the reward and I will screen record. Alright, and spin. Go forward 2 spaces. This is a bit of a wild and random TBR. Okay, so go forward 2 spaces. 1, 2. We have very helpful pistachio coming to help us. Alright, so that is a battle square. As you just saw, things went a little bit haywire because I got a 20, which got me to the end, but I had to go back 5 places because that was the punishment. But then because I landed on a 20, I got to spin the reward wheel, and that gave me the prompt to go forward 2 spaces. So what I ended up landing on was a battle square. And for a battle square, I have to pick a book that I really want to read and a book that I don't want to read quite as much and see which one wins. This was inspired by Gavin from How to Train Your Gavin and the TBR game he used to play Your TBR Right. So it's inspired by that, but I'm doing it a bit differently because it's going to be a battle. So the way that works in D&D is you roll a d20 and whichever of the, you have battles and stuff, but basically if you roll a better thing than your opponent, then you will be the one that does the damage. So how it's going to work is I'm going to roll my d20 twice and 1 for each book, and whichever one gets the higher roll, that's the one that I'm going to read for December. Last time I had a baking tray. This time I have just a little plastic container. So that's what we're doing. That's how we're working with it. So the books, for the book that I really want to read is Take a Hint, Danny Brown by Talia Hibbert. This is another romance, I know. This is the second book in the, I think it's the Brown Sisters trilogy. This is Danny's book. This is actually fake dating, which I just said I don't love. But I've heard really good things about it and I'm excited to give it a try. So this is one I'd like to read. Plus it's also one of my books for my reading romance. So we'll pop it there. And then the book that I don't particularly want to read, I do want to read it at some point. I've just been putting it off because I'm very intimidated by it because it's going to be a really heavy read. So it's No Friend But the Mountain. And this is about a Kurdish journalist called Behrouz Boochani. I apologise, I've no doubt said that so incorrectly. I should have checked. I do apologise. Was an asylum seeker in Australia, but instead he was imprisoned in the detention centre on Manus Island, and this was published in 2018, and at that point he was still there and had been a number of years. He was in there for 5 years, and he published this book by typing passages from the book one text at a time from a secret mobile that was then, sent to, I think, to a refugee advocacy group. So I do really want to read it, but it's going to be very heavy, so that's why I'm kind of not necessarily wanting to read it in December. So I'm going to pop it there, and I just kind of messed the thing up, so hopefully that's fixed. And the first roll I will do will be for the one I don't particularly want to read, and then for the one I do want to read. Alright, so roll number 1 is a 2. So I don't know how well you can see that, but it was definitely a 2, I promise. So I doubt that I'm going to get anything lower than that, but you never know, I could still get a 1. So that was for the one that I don't particularly want to read. 19. So I'm reading Take a Hint, Danny Brown by Talia Hibbert, and I'm excited because, like I said, I've heard really, really good things about this one. So yeah. Okay, so this potentially could be my final roll, so let's go see if it is. 18, so yes, that will be the end. Alright, so roll number 5 was in fact my final roll. I landed on the end square, and I can choose whatever book I want, but I have to choose it right now. But I am going to cheat a little bit because I do kind of want to read a book that I saw Crystal from Bond Book Reviews talk about in a video that she did recently, where she was talking about summer romances, because we are going into summer here in the Southern Hemisphere, and it is a summer romance set over Christmas because that's what happens here in Australia. And for the Hemisphere Christmas Games, I will get 10 points if I read a book that is set over Christmas in my hemisphere. I do not remember what the name of the book is. It will be up here, so you'll see what it is. But that does give me quite a lot of romances. So, as I keep saying, it's not at the top of the list of the things I love to read. So I'm wondering if I really want to get to it, in which case I probably should put another book on there as an option as well. And I'm going to put Frostheart number 2, Rise of the World Eaters, number 3 I should say, Rise of the World Eater in there as well. So I have 2 choices. I know that isn't kind of technically not choosing, but that's what I'm going to do for December. So yeah. So this is my TBR for December, possibly including Frostheart, but also possibly instead including the book I can't remember the name of, but is up here, and also including the book I've forgotten what it's called I stole off Meredith. Oh dear, this is going very, very well. But yeah, this is my TBR for December, and therefore that is the end of this round of TBR Campaign. Please comment below and let me know if you're going in either of the readathons that I talked about, particularly the Hemisphere Christmas Games, because that is the readathon that I run with the amazing Ellie from Earl Books, Kat from Brews and Reviews, and Helen from Helen's Bookhaven, all of whom will be listed in the description below, along with my announcement video, so you can go and find out all the information that you will need to join in with the readathon if you would like to do so. And also I have linked the hosts for Romcomathon, so if you want to go and join in that readathon as well, the information for that is listed below. So please let me know if you're planning on joining in with either of those readathons, or if you're doing another readathon, which one is it? Let me know what you're planning on reading in December. In general, do you like to read Christmas books? Do you read romance? What is your kind of thing that you do during December? If you would like to leave me a comment but you don't know what, then leave me something Christmassy, because of course we are going into Christmas in December. All of my social media details are listed in the description below, so if you'd like to go and follow me on any of those other platforms, please feel free to do so. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, I would absolutely love it if you would subscribe to my channel and give this video a thumbs up. And yeah, like I said, thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you next time.